Merci tout le monde, Monsieur le Premier ministre Carney, Monsieur le Premier ministre Chrétien, Madame la Présidente Gagné, Monsieur le Président Scarpaleggia, Governor General Johnston, Monsieur le chef de l'opposition, mon chef, Poiliev, Premier Mo, Premier Ford, sénateurs et députés, distingués invités, mesdames et messieurs, chers amis, merci beaucoup, thank you. I have to tell you, I have not had a greeting that enthusiastic since the opposition used to welcome me to the House of Commons. Seriously, you're all very kind, and I want to thank both speakers for their generous words. And to Mr. Speaker Scarpaleggia, I'm truly grateful for all that you have done to make this a very special day for the Harper family. Now, I know I shouldn't go off script, but I can't help responding to that story about my Toronto hockey book. It reminds me of something that happened, which fortunately never ran in the English media. I was in Quebec City doing an announcement. They were building the new rink, and a reporter got up, and there was enthusiasm about possible NHL expansion, and a reporter got up and asked me in French, he said, "Prime Minister, do you think Quebec City is going to get an NHL hockey team?" And I said, "No." And the mayor was there and all the députés, and then I said, "Because if Quebec City gets a professional hockey team, then Toronto will want one too." So they were okay with that. Monsieur le Premier ministre Carney, merci pour ces mots aimables et pour votre présence ici cet après-midi. Je voudrais mentionner en passant que certains ignorent peut-être que nous nous connaissons depuis longtemps. I recall clearly the day in 2007 when an interesting resume crossed my desk. I remember thinking that the young man had promise. And I had just heard there were openings at a nearby bank. So I forwarded the resume on, and lo and behold, he was hired, and he has apparently gone on to enjoy some success. But seriously, Prime Minister, whatever our different parties, I do want to thank you for taking the time to be here today at a particular time when your responsibilities entail challenges that are unprecedented during our lives. Chers amis, je me suis remémoré qu'il y a plus de 40 ans, l'automne dernier, que je suis arrivé pour la première fois sur la colline parlementaire. Je m'en souviens très clairement. 40 years ago, I was 26, and I was an eager young assistant to the late Member of Parliament Jim Hawkes. Had anyone told me that I would be standing at this podium today for this event, I would have been quite simply in utter disbelief. Au fil des ans depuis ce jour-là, j'ai tenté de consacrer la majeure partie de ma vie professionnelle à faire de ce pays un meilleur endroit pour les Canadiens et les Canadiennes qui travaillent fort et leurs familles. In the years since that day 40 years ago, I've tried to devote the majority of my working life to making this country a better place for hardworking Canadians and their families. And it was my own family that made that possible. My late father, my mother, my brothers, Grant and Robert, and most of all, Lorene, Ben, and Rachel. Whatever price a person pays for being in public life, and in particular, for the privilege of being Prime Minister. And frankly, I always found it far more of an honor than a burden. a bigger price is paid by those closest to them. I could never properly thank my children and my love and life partner, Lorene. Now, I know that there are many here who have been looking forward for a long time to my public hanging. And these public hangings, my friends, are humbling for the condemned man. Take, for example, the story behind Sir Charles Tupper's portraits. Nous étions au début des années 1940, et le greffier de la Chambre des communes, M. Arthur Beauchesne, estimait que l'installation de portrait de Tupper, qui n'était plus Premier ministre depuis près d'un demi-siècle, était un peu tardive. The problem he faced, however, was that it was a time of great fiscal restraint. And Beauchesne had already overspent his budget. It kind of mattered in those days. So he shopped around for bargains and finding one in the National Archives. It turned out that the archives, they had an extra Tupper tucked away. Mr. Beauchesne was also aware that his own institution owned not one, but two portraits of the famed explorer Jacques Cartier. So he met with the Dominion archivist and he traded his extra Tupper, or his extra Cartier, to get a Tupper. Now, Mr. Speaker, if you traded anything to secure a Harper, know that I very much support such demonstrations of sound fiscal management. Friends, today is something of an anniversary. It is the 110th to the day of the famous Center Block fire of 2016. Et chers amis, il est tout à fait approprié que la cérémonie d'aujourd'hui se tienne dans l'édifice Sir John A. Macdonald. Son portrait a été bien sûr le premier portrait d'un Premier ministre à être dévoilé sur la colline parlementaire. But unlike modern custom, Macdonald didn't wait until he left office to enjoy his special day. He was still Prime Minister when his portrait was unveiled in 1890. Despite my admiration for Macdonald, I will break with him in one important respect. Sir John A. omis de mentionner l'artiste. Pour l'information, son nom était Henry Sandham. Et je ne vais pas commettre la même erreur. Brings me great pleasure to recognize Phil Richards. Phil once said, and I quote the following, that artistic success is based 20% on talent, but 80% on perseverance. I disagree. His success, friends, in this case, given the limitations of the material he had to work with, is based 100% on talent, an assessment shared by none other than Her late Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II. So please, once again, join me in recognizing Mr. Phil Richards. Many are not aware that Prime Ministers often personalize their portraits. Permettez-moi, pendant quelques minutes, de partager avec vous quelques explications au sujet des éléments dans ce portrait. Ma tasse, par exemple, ma tasse à café des Beatles est sur mon bureau à l'édifice du centre, comme toujours. Vous verrez également une photo de mes parents et de mes frères et une autre de moi, Lorraine, avec nos enfants. The painting also honors, as has been mentioned, my passion for vexillology, which I inherited from my dad. On the shelf behind me is Alberta's flag, celebrating the great province I have called home throughout my adult life. It is joined by Ontario's flag in recognition of the province where I was raised. And there is the New Brunswick flag, representing the province of my grandparents, the ancestral home of the Harper family since 1774. Also present is the flag of the Kainai Nation of southern Alberta, which paid me the great honor of naming me an honorary chief. L'étagère contient des volumes représentant les accords commerciaux de notre gouvernement. Et je tiens dans ma main, bien sûr, un budget équilibré. The tie that I'm wearing, which doesn't actually exist, the tie that I'm wearing highlights the colors that represent the streams of Canadian conservatism that we brought together in our modern party. The dark blue harkens back to the Tories of old. The green stands for the right of the Western populist tradition, including, of course, Preston Manning's Reform Party. Et le bleu poudre représente le courant conservateur de la tradition nationaliste du Québécois et des francophones partout au Canada. One member, if you look closely, you'll see one member of our family who consistently polled better than I, Stanley the cat. He makes an appearance. There are many other details. I won't list them all, including some of the books that I have written that appear there. Ces livres sont accompagnés de ma thèse de maîtrise en économie de l'Université de Calgary. Je ne sais pas si le ministre Champagne est parmi nous, mais j'ai apporté un exemplaire pour lui. Au cas où lui ou le gouvernement aurait besoin d'inspiration au moment de bouger, ce qui, je crois, est le cas. I'll just leave it at that. But friends, I may be the subject of the portrait, but I hope neither it nor this ceremony is about me. Instead, today is my opportunity to express my heartfelt gratitude to the countless thousands of people that make it possible for a Prime Minister to serve. I want to recognize so many members of my caucus and cabinet who are here today. They were, I firmly believe, the finest any Prime Minister has served with since our Confederation in 1867. Aujourd'hui, il est également question des parlementaires de tous les partis, des hommes et des femmes qui exercent la noble vocation de service public et qui contribuent au bon fonctionnement du gouvernement en veillant à ce qu'ils rendent des comptes. Today is a chance to thank the public servants who help flesh out and implement the policies and programs of the government. And friends, today is a chance for me to again pay my personal tribute to the members of Canada's military and our veterans, those who have answered the call that makes our free and sovereign country possible. Above all else, today is my special opportunity to thank those many thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of Canadians who welcomed us into their communities from coast to coast to coast for nearly a decade. To have visited with Canadians as Prime Minister is the greatest privilege of all. In closing, I want to say this. J'espère sincèrement que mon portrait n'est que l'un des nombreux portraits de Premier ministre des deux partis, qui continueront d'être exposés ici pendant des décennies et des siècles à venir. Mais cela exigera qu'en ce temps périlleux, les deux partis, quelles que soient leurs autres divergences, s'unissent contre les forces extérieures qui menacent notre indépendance et contre les politiques internes qui menacent notre unité. I will repeat that. I sincerely hope that mine is just one of many portraits of prime ministers from both parties that will continue to be hung here for decades and centuries to come. But that will require that in these perilous times, both parties, whatever their other differences, come together against external forces that threaten our independence and against domestic policies that threaten our unity. We must preserve Canada, this country handed down to us by Providence, preserved by our ancestors, and held in trust for our descendants. We must make any sacrifice necessary to preserve the independence and the unity of this blessed land. As I have said before, le Canada est et a toujours été notre pays. Nous voulons que le Canada poursuive son épopée des plus brillants exploits et qu'il soit aussi fort et aussi libre que possible, à tous égards, le meilleur pays du monde. We all want Canada to be the true north, a true north, as strong and as free as it can be, in every way that counts, the best country in the world. Only then can we say that we have been true to this great country. Friends, you've done me a high honor today. I truly appreciate it. Merci beaucoup. God bless all of you. God bless Canada.